Did you know that alcohol eliminates over 3 million people every year, and some of the most iconic heavy metal stars nearly became part of that number? From Metallica's frontman walking away from the band at rock bottom to the tragic fall of Children of Bodom's Alexi Laiho. Here are 25 heavy metal stars who were huge alcoholics. 1. James Hetfield, Metallica. The voice and guitar of Metallica had a serious drinking problem that nearly ended everything. He wasn't just drinking at parties, he was drinking all the time, even when no one was around. His addiction wasn't fun or cool. It was dark, lonely, and dangerous. In the 1990s and early 2000s, the band looked strong on the outside, but Hetfield was falling apart. Fans had no idea how bad it really was. Behind closed doors, he drank to deal with pressure, pain, and fame. It became a habit he couldn't stop. He scared his bandmates. He scared his family. He scared himself. In 2001, things hit rock bottom. He walked away from the band and checked into rehab. That moment was shown in the film Some Kind of Monster, and it shocked fans. People saw the truth. Metallica was breaking down, and Hetfield was at the center of it. He admitted that alcohol had taken over his life. Getting clean wasn't quick or easy. He had to face everything he had been hiding from. 2. Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath. This incredible star didn't just drink a lot. He drank like his life depended on it. But instead of saving his life, it almost ended it. He became famous with Black Sabbath, but alcohol was always tagging along. His drinking made him wild, loud, and out of control. The band couldn't handle him anymore. In 1979, they kicked him out. That's right. The band that helped him rise to fame decided they couldn't deal with him anymore. His alcohol use made him impossible to work with. He was always drunk, always unpredictable. He forgot lyrics. He missed shows. He acted like nothing mattered. Getting fired didn't stop him. He went solo and kept drinking. He showed up to places totally wasted. He fell over on stage, slurred his words, and embarrassed himself again and again. The media followed his every move, but Ozzy didn't care. Or maybe he couldn't care. That's what alcohol does. It blocks your brain. It makes everything blurry. Fans laughed at his antics. 3. Alexi Laiho, Children of Bodom. This guy had so much talent it was hard to ignore. He played guitar like lightning and sang with fire. But behind all that skill was a man quietly breaking down. He drank often. Too often, not for fun, not to celebrate. He drank to feel normal. He drank to stop pain, but every drink just made things worse. He tried to quit. People around him begged him to stop. But addiction isn't that simple. It doesn't care how talented you are. It doesn't care how many fans scream your name. It just takes and takes. For years, Laiho pushed his body beyond its limits. He toured, recorded, and performed like nothing was wrong. But things were very wrong. His health was falling apart. His body couldn't keep up. His liver, the organ that fights off poison, was getting weaker every day. By 2020, it couldn't fight anymore. Alexi Laiho died at just 41 years old. The official cause? Liver problems caused by long-term drinking. 4. Ivan Moody, Five-Finger Death Punch. If you're looking for a guy who was loud on stage and loud in his life, stay here. As the front man for Five-Finger Death Punch, he gave everything he had. But behind the energy and music, he was falling apart. Alcohol was his biggest problem. He drank when he was sad, when he was angry, even when he was supposed to be working. Fans saw him stumble on stage, forget lyrics, and sometimes even lash out. It wasn't just one bad night. It kept happening. And people started asking, how much longer could he keep going? Moody didn't just drink. He made a mess of his life. There were fights, arrests, and public breakdowns. He ended up in jail more than once. Even bandmates didn't know what to do with him. His addiction made everything harder. It turned music into chaos. It turned friends into strangers. He tried rehab. It didn't work the first time, or the second. But finally, something clicked. He says he's clean now. He says he's using healthy ways to stay strong. Fans hope it's true. 5. Al Jourgensen, Ministry. This guy lived fast and nearly died faster. As the leader of Ministry, he made music that was loud, angry, and full of pain. That pain wasn't just in the songs, it was in his life. He drank like it was his job. He added substances to the mix. It was a cocktail of destruction. He didn't care about limits. He didn't care about warnings. He pushed his body to the edge again and again. And it almost ruined him. Jurgensen had health problems most people can't imagine. He's talked about nearly dying many times. His organs shut down. His body gave up. But somehow he kept going. Barely. Doctors were shocked. Friends were scared. He kept telling himself he'd quit, but he never did. Not until it was almost too late. His addiction wasn't fun. It was ugly. It was full of pain and regret. And the worst part? He did it to himself. 6. Rob Halford, Judas Priest. Addiction is so difficult to read. With some, it's impossible to notice. Judas Priest's singer didn't look like he was struggling. He wore leather, chains, and stood strong. But deep inside, things were broken. He was hiding who he really was. He was hiding how he really felt. Alcohol became his escape. He drank to forget, to feel nothing, to get away. But it never worked. It only made things worse. For years, he drank in silence. He tried to act normal, but addiction was in control. It crept in and took over everything. In 1986, something scary happened. He overdosed on painkillers. It was a moment that could have ended his life, but it didn't. He survived, and he took it as a sign. He checked into rehab. He made a decision to change. It wasn't easy. It never is. But Halford fought hard. He chose to get sober. He chose to face everything he had been hiding from, and he never looked back. 7. Randy Blythe, Lamb of God. On stage, he was the powerful voice of Lamb of God, but behind the scenes, he was fighting a deep and dangerous habit. Drinking wasn't just something he did for fun. It became his way of handling pain, stress, and frustration. The non-stop touring and pressure from fame made it worse. At first, it didn't seem like a big deal, but one drink turned into many, and soon it was part of his daily life. It didn't stop when the music did. It followed him home, into the night, into his thoughts. Alcohol became the answer to everything until it started becoming the problem. He didn't realize how far he had fallen until things started breaking around him. His health was getting worse. His relationships were falling apart. And the music he once loved started sounding like a cry for help. His band's album Sacrament showed the struggle he was hiding. The songs weren't just loud, they were full of guilt, anger, and the need for change. He knew he had to stop, but stopping was hard. Every day felt like a fight. The alcohol had become a shadow he couldn't shake. Randy chose to take control before it destroyed everything. He stepped away from drinking and faced his pain head-on. It took strength and honesty. It took admitting he needed help, but he did it. He used his pain to shape his music, showing others that even when things seem hopeless, there's still a way out. 8. Reginald Fieldy Arvizu, Korn. The bass player of Korn lived fast and loud, but behind the wild shows and screaming fans, he was falling apart. His life was filled with parties, alcohol, and bad decisions. It looked fun from the outside, but it was slowly ruining him. He would drink to feel good, to feel powerful, or just to feel something. But the more he drank, the more he lost control. It wasn't just about having fun anymore. It became a dark habit, one that wouldn't let go. Things hit a breaking point when he lost someone he loved. Instead of grieving, he drank more. He thought it would make the pain go away, but it only made things worse. He wrote about it all in his book, hoping others might learn from his mistakes. He called it Got the Life. But what kind of life was it really? A life built on drinks and regrets. A life that almost took him away from his family, his music, and himself. Eventually, he looked for something stronger than the bottle. He turned to faith. Not everyone gets that moment of clarity, but he did. He saw the damage and chose to walk away, not because it was easy, but because it was the only way left. He knew the music could continue, but only if he cleaned up. Staying sober wasn't a choice anymore. It was a need. 9. Steven Adler, Guns N' Roses. This is the story of a guy who had it all. Fame, money, a spot in one of the biggest bands ever, Guns N' Roses. But he couldn't stay away from alcohol and substances. At first, it felt like part of the rock life. Parties, late nights, and always a drink in hand. But soon, it became his normal. He was drinking not for fun, but because he had to. His body needed it. His mind craved it. The addiction grew fast and strong, and he couldn't keep up. As the band moved forward, Adler fell behind. He missed shows. He couldn't perform, and the band couldn't wait. They let him go. Losing the band didn't stop the drinking. It made it worse. He got sick, really sick. He had strokes that damaged his body. His hands, once great at playing drums, couldn't move the same way. What started as fun turned into pain, and all the fame in the world couldn't save him. He tried rehab. He went on TV to talk about getting clean. He wanted to be better, but it was a long fight, one that never really ended. He keeps trying, though, every day, because even when things are broken, you can still try to fix them. But his story is more than just sad. It's a wake-up call. Alcohol can take away everything, and by the time you see what you lost, it might already be too late. 10. Chance Garnett, Skeleton Witch. He was the voice of Skeleton Witch. He screamed into microphones and lit up the stage. But off the stage, he was drinking too much. It started slowly, like it always does. A drink here, a drink there. Then it grew into something he couldn't control. Alcohol wasn't just a weekend thing, it was his daily escape. And soon, it started taking more than it gave. He got in trouble with the law. The band had to let him go. They couldn't risk falling with him. It wasn't just a band change, it was a warning. The music world keeps moving, but those who fall behind often do so in silence. Garnett found himself out of the band and out of options. He turned to therapy, trying to make sense of what went wrong. He had to face the truth. Drinking didn't help. It hurt, and it took away something he once loved. Skeleton Witch kept going without him. They had to. But Garnett had to look at himself and decide if he wanted to keep going too. He started working on recovery, not just to get back into music, but to find peace. 11. Derek Whibley, Sum 41. This man here almost died from drinking. He wasn't just partying. He was slowly ruining himself. The fame, the music, the rock star life, it all pushed him closer to the edge. He drank so much that in 2014, his body gave up. His liver and kidneys started shutting down. He spent a month in the hospital fighting to stay alive. Doctors told him he might not make it. And even if he did, his life would never be the same. That's how far it had gone. He had to relearn how to walk, how to move, how to think clearly. The damage was deep, but he survived. And after that, he started to change. He got clean. He focused on healing, on rebuilding what alcohol had taken. He didn't want to be another sad story. He wanted to live. He wrote a book called Walking Disaster, sharing every hard moment. Today, he lives quietly with his family, but the scars are still there. He doesn't hide them. He uses them to show others what can happen. Being famous doesn't protect you. It can make things worse. And if no one stops, it always ends badly. 12. Seth Binzer, Crazy Town. Known as Shifty Shell Shock, he started using when he was just 5. That alone should shock anyone, but it didn't stop. He kept going, and fame only made things worse. As the lead of Crazy Town, he had the spotlight. But behind it, he was falling apart. Substances, alcohol, fights, jail time. It became normal for him. Rehab was just another stop. Nothing seemed to help. He kept going back to the same pain. He was arrested more than once. He had public breakdowns. The world watched, but didn't help. His body couldn't take it anymore. In the end, he died at 49. His death wasn't sudden. It was coming for years, and it was the third death in his band from addiction. That's not just a tragedy. That's a pattern. 1. No one stopped. 13. Scott Wino Weinrich, St. Vitus. This singer had a deep voice, long hair, and a sound that matched the sadness in his eyes. When he joined the heavy doom metal band St. Vitus in 1986, he brought more than just talent. He brought pain. The band already sang about substance use and sadness, but Wino made it feel personal. The album, Born Too Late, didn't just speak to fans, it screamed with real hurt. The title alone told the story. It sounded like someone who missed their chance in life, someone stuck in the wrong time, in the wrong body, with the wrong habits. Wino wasn't acting. His struggle with alcohol and other substances was real and strong. Fans cheered while he slowly broke down. After the band split in 1996, there was a short silence. But in the 2000s, they got back together. Some thought this was a new beginning, but the pain was still there. When they released Lily F65 in 2012, the title alone pointed to a prescription substance. It was another cry from someone who couldn't let go of the past. The music still had the same dark, sad tone. The lyrics still told the same story of addiction and loss. Even the way it was recorded, raw and unclean, felt like the band had never escaped the weight on their backs. Wino sang about substance, but he was also singing about himself. The band didn't hide their hurt. They showed it like a wound that never healed. 14. Dave Mustaine, Megadeth. This one needs no introduction. He had talent, power, and a wild temper. He was one of the first members of Metallica. But drinking and substances ended that fast. He was kicked out of the band before they became legends. That kind of fall could crush someone. Instead, Dave created Megadeth, but his problems followed him. Drinking didn't stop. If anything, it got worse. He made music while high. He made choices while drunk. He screamed into the mic while barely standing straight. Fans loved the anger, but many didn't know it came from real pain. Dave was fighting inside and outside. Megadeth grew big, but the people around Dave kept changing. Bandmates left, others were fired, tours got out of control. Sometimes he wouldn't show up, sometimes he showed up and made a mess. The band kept going, but always with chaos behind the scenes. Dave kept drinking like it was part of the job. He even said in interviews that he thought alcohol made him better. But it didn't. It hurt his body, his music, and his friends. Some fans stayed. Some left. All of them saw someone lost in his own storm. Years later, Dave finally got help. He entered treatment. It wasn't easy. He had to face everything he did wrong, and there was a lot. Broken relationships, bad shows, failed records. He remembered it all, but he got through it. He stopped drinking. He tried to make peace with the past. He talked more about growth. He talked about faith. Some believed he changed. Others weren't so sure. The damage ran deep. 15. Zakk Wylde, Black Label Society. Zakk Wylde looked strong, loud, and fearless, but alcohol brought him to his knees. He was Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist and later built his own band, Black Label Society. On stage, he looked like a warrior. Off stage, he drank like he didn't care if tomorrow came. It started small, just drinks with friends. Then it grew. Soon he was drinking daily, then hourly. He played drunk, partied hard, and laughed it off. But inside, his body was screaming. He just wasn't listening. Years of heavy drinking nearly eliminated him. One day, he was rushed to the hospital. Blood clots had formed, threatening his life. Doctors warned him, keep drinking, and it might be the last thing you ever do. That was his wake-up call. Zakk stopped. He quit alcohol completely. For someone who drank that much, quitting wasn't just hard, it was a total change of life. But he stuck with it. He said he owed it to his family, his band, and himself. Since then, Zakk has stayed sober. He still tours. He still shreds on guitar. But he's different now. He talks about health. He talks about staying strong. He gives advice to others trying to quit. Fans respect him for that. But many still wonder, how much did he lose before he stopped? How many years did alcohol steal from him? He looks better now, but some damage can't be fixed. He knows that. 16. Phil Anselmo, Pantera. Pantera's singer had a voice that roared and a stage presence that made fans scream. But behind that loud power was a man falling apart. The lead singer of Pantera drank hard, used substances, and seemed to live like nothing could touch him. On stage, he looked untouchable, but every drink and every high pulled him deeper into danger. People cheered while he was slowly losing control. He didn't hide it. His body changed. His voice cracked. His eyes lost their light. Everyone could see it, but no one could stop it. Phil kept pushing himself like he was made of steel. But no one is made of steel, not even rock stars. The truth hit hard when he nearly died from an overdose. He passed out and almost didn't wake up. That was the moment everything changed, or at least it should have. Addiction isn't just one bad night. It's a chain that keeps pulling you back. Phil tried to get clean. He tried to fix what he broke, but his body had already taken the hit. His health was never the same. He looked older, slower, worn down. And even after that, he still struggled. He worked on other bands and kept making music. But fans knew he wasn't the same. The energy was still there, but it came from a different place. He no longer looked like the wild man who could jump across the stage. He looked like someone holding on, doing his best not to fall again. He spoke more about his past. He owned up to some of it. He warned others. But you could tell the past never really let him go. That overdose stayed with him. It followed him into every new project, every show, every quiet moment. 17. Lane Staley, Alice in Chains. This guy had a voice that cut through everything. It was deep, sharp, and full of hurt. You could hear it in every word he sang. But that pain wasn't just acting. It was real. Lane was hurting, badly. Substances and alcohol wrapped around his life like chains. He sang about it. He wrote about it. He lived it. His songs were dark because his world was dark. People said his voice was powerful, but that power came from a broken place. Alice in Chains grew big, but the fame didn't help Lane. It made things worse. He became more closed off. He stopped going out. He missed shows. He stayed hidden in his home, lost in addiction. His friends were worried. Fans were scared. But nothing changed. Lane kept using. He said in interviews that he didn't want to end up like the people he read about who died from substances. But even saying that, he didn't stop. The pain was too strong, the substances were too powerful, and slowly he disappeared. Not all at once, bit by bit. First from the stage, then from the public, then even from his own friends. In 2002, his body was found in his home. He had been dead for weeks. No one even knew. That's how far gone he was. A man once loved by millions died alone, in silence. His story shocked people, but it wasn't a surprise. It had been coming for years. The saddest part is that it didn't have to end that way. But Lane couldn't escape his pain, and no one could pull him out. His music lives on. His voice still plays on radios. But the man behind it is gone. 18. Nikki Sixx, Motley Crue. Here is the human expression of living fast, partying hard, and almost dying doing it. As the bassist of Motley Crue, he helped create one of the wildest bands in rock history. But behind the music and bright lights was a man drowning in substances and alcohol. He drank every day. He used substances every night. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He only cared about the next high. Fans saw a rock star, but they didn't see the blood on the bathroom floor. They didn't see the times he passed out and nearly died. Nikki lived on the edge, and it almost cost him everything. His darkest moment came when he overdosed and his heart stopped. He was declared dead. Paramedics brought him back to life with shots to the chest. Most people would stop after that. But Nicky used again the same night. That shows how strong addiction can be. It doesn't care if you die. It pulls you back in. After that, Nicky finally reached out for help. He went into rehab. He started to write about his experiences. He wrote a book called The Heroin Diaries, where he told the full truth, every ugly, scary part of it. Getting clean wasn't easy. He had to leave behind the party life. He had to learn how to live again without substances. It took time, but he did it. Nicky got clean. He stayed sober. He built a better life. He focused on his music in a new way. 19. Lemmy Kilmister, Motorhead. Lemmy Kilmister was more than the leader of Motorhead. He was the face of a dangerous lifestyle that never stopped. Every day, he drank whiskey like water. Jack Daniels wasn't just a drink to him, it was his daily fuel. People looked up to him because of his wild image, but they didn't see the price he paid behind closed doors. He made drinking look fun, but it was really tearing him apart from the inside. Lemmy didn't take breaks. He didn't slow down. Even as his body aged and his health faded, he still kept that bottle in hand. People say he was strong for lasting so long, but was that really strength? Or was it just stubbornness hiding pain? He lived with health issues for years, and still he kept going like nothing was wrong. He ignored the warnings. He ignored the risks. His fans loved the music, but few wanted the same life he had. Lemmy's drinking didn't just shape his image, it helped push his body toward a slow breakdown. 20. Vince Neil, Motley Crue. He was never shy about living fast. As the singer of Motley Crue, he had money, fame, and non-stop attention. But he also had a drinking problem that was hard to hide. The fun didn't last. One night of drinking led to a car crash that eliminated his friend. That wasn't just a mistake. It was a disaster that changed everything. A life was gone. His band was shaken. His own freedom was almost taken away. This wasn't just wild behavior. This was the dark side of the party life. After that crash, Vince didn't just walk away with guilt. He carried it for years. His drinking didn't stop right away. He kept going, falling deeper into trouble. His voice changed, his shows suffered, and his personal life cracked. Fans still came to see him, but they also saw a man falling apart. He tried rehab. He made comebacks, but the damage was done. Motley Crue's image was loud and crazy, and Vince lived it to the edge. 21. Chesney Hawkes. Chesney Hawkes became a star with just one hit song. The one and only made him famous fast, but fame left him just as quickly. That kind of rise and fall is hard. One day you're everywhere, and the next you're forgotten. That silence after the fame hit him hard. He turned to substances and alcohol, not for fun, but to escape. He was trying to quiet the noise in his head, the feeling of being lost. Being famous young sounds great, but nobody tells you how lonely it can get when the spotlight fades. He drank, he used, and he slipped further from the person he wanted to be. It wasn't about parties, it was about pain. He didn't know where to go or what came next. The music world had moved on, but he couldn't. He tried to find peace in bottles and pills. That didn't help. It only made him feel worse. He lost himself. He almost lost everything. 22. Paul Di'Anno, Iron Maiden. This is a man who helped Iron Maiden become great. His voice had power and edge. But behind the music, things weren't good. He drank a lot. He used substances. He missed shows and fought with people. His addiction made him unpredictable. It got so bad, the band had no choice but to let him go. That wasn't the end of his story, but it was the end of something great. After Iron Maiden, Paul didn't change. He kept drinking. He got into legal trouble. He hurt his health. He said he wanted to get better, but he kept falling back into old habits. People hoped he'd turn things around, but year after year, the same problems returned. He had talent, but it was always weighed down by his choices. He became a warning instead of a legend. 23. Alice Cooper. This guy made a career out of being scary on stage. But the real danger wasn't the fake blood, it was his drinking. In the 1980s, he drank so much beer every day it shocked doctors. He was destroying himself. At first, it looked like a rock star just having fun, but soon it was clear. He had a serious problem. He was sick. He was losing control. His body was giving up, and his life was slipping away. He reached a point where something had to change or he wouldn't survive. That's when he made a big choice. He got help. He found strength in his faith and became a born-again Christian. He gave up alcohol, and he didn't look back. That wasn't just a small change, it was a total restart. He found new purpose. He used his pain to help others. He didn't hide his past. He talked about it. He showed others that even someone who seemed beyond saving could still come back. 24. Richie Sambora. Bon Jovi's guitarist made him shine with his guitar. But behind that sound was a man in pain. He battled with alcohol and painkillers. The pressure of fame and personal problems became too much. He went to rehab in 2007, then again in 2011. That's not just bad luck. That's a sign of someone trying to fight a strong enemy and losing. Even with all the success, Richie couldn't find peace. He had money. He had fans. But inside, he was broken. Rehab gave him tools, but it didn't erase the past. He stepped away from Bon Jovi. He needed space. He needed to heal. His solo music became more personal, less flash, more truth. He started to put his health first, but that choice came late. 25. Ricky Byrd, Joan Jett, and the Blackhearts. This man had it all, the music, the tours, the fans. But he also had a substance and alcohol problem that nearly wrecked everything. While playing guitar for Joan Jett, he was deep in addiction. It was normal in that world. Partying wasn't just allowed, it was expected. But Ricky hit a wall in 1987. He looked around and realized he was drowning. That's when he decided to stop. Getting sober was not easy. It meant walking away from everything that felt normal. But Ricky stayed strong. He didn't just stop drinking and using, he started helping others. He became a certified recovery coach. He used music as his way of healing and teaching. He wrote songs about real pain and real hope. He wanted people to know that recovery was possible.